this is Dix, your very exJW here, and I'm going to tell you a little story. All right, this is exJW story time. This particular incident happened, I don't know, between 15 and 20 years ago, so it's been a minute. I had been disfellowshipped, aka removed. I had been being shunned at that point for quite a while, like for 25 years or thereabouts. And my father was in the hospital. He was getting ready to undergo heart surgery. Now, it wasn't a particularly serious surgery, but I didn't exactly feel like it was no big deal because he'd never really been sick. And because we all know that JWs won't take blood. So even if something bad happens, they're just going to die. So I decided that I needed to go ahead and go visit him in the hospital. I was not looking forward to this. But at any rate, I wasn't looking forward to it. I expected to see my mom and my dad, possibly one of my siblings, right? So I put on my cheerful outfit, my bright yellow pants with the little 60s hippie daisies, and I did what I could to psych myself up. And so I go and I walk in. The first person I see kind of off to the right is a friend of the family. My folks were best friends with this one other witness couple as I was growing up, and they had a couple of kids about my age. So we spent a crazy amount of time with them. At their house, we went on vacations together. We went to assemblies together, just a lot of time. So there was the widow, because the man had passed away. And that's the first person I saw. Then I see my mom, my dad's in the bed. My brother is there and my sister-in-law is there. And it was just a surreal experience on so many levels because we've got my mom and my dad, talking to me like normal people do. The friend of the family had, and my sister-in-law too, both had these blank faces. Like, it wasn't like disgust, it wasn't disdain or hostility, but it wasn't like this same pleasant expression that you might have for somebody, like if you see a stranger in the hall or something. It was the same kind of very rigid, blank face that you might expect to see somebody who's brushing their teeth in the morning or something and thinking about something entirely different. But you feel sort of like you're in a Twilight zone, or maybe in the part of It's a Wonderful Life where it's like nobody knows who George is. It was like that. It's like these people who I had known from birth, basically, from before I can remember. Okay, these people were acting as if I weren't in the room. So this was my sister-in-law and the friend of the family doing this. My brother, on the other hand, was acting bizarrely familiar. First of all, it was weird seeing him to begin with, as I hadn't really seen him in like 20 years or thereabouts. And so he was very familiar and very foreign and alien at the same time. He also sounded just like my dad. He held his, body just like my dad. He walked like my dad. He talked like my dad, except with the little mustache, because rebellious. It was just bizarre. But probably the most bizarre thing about it was that my brother didn't act as if we hadn't seen each other in 20 years. He acted as if he were my best friend, like over the top. Hi, how are ya? Oh, remember this time? Remember that time? As if we were close. And I mean, I still don't fully understand it. He acted kind of like Stephen Lett on meth or something. He was just, and it was so unnatural and it was so bizarre that you feel like you're in a Twilight Zone. I mean, at the time I thought, okay, maybe he's trying to make me comfortable, but that doesn't make sense because in the time leading up to that, since I'd gotten disfellowshipped and in all the time since then, he's never once expressed any sort of interest in how I felt about anything. Not once. It's irrelevant to him. The only thing that I've gotten from him is basically he kind of reacts to me as if I'm a caricature or a cartoon of what worldly people are supposed to be. Phony, over the top, weird closeness. I had these couple of people acting as if I was invisible. There was a little girl that came and left from the room at some point. I think she might have been associated with my brother and his family. God knows you're not going to like introduce me or explain to me what's going on. And you certainly wouldn't want me to possibly, I don't know, poison this poor child's mind with an apostate sentence. So we've got that, and we've got my parents acting like this is all normal. I mean, I had the trauma responses starting right off the bat. It was like a fight for me not to completely dissociate and to stay in my body and to like focus on it. And I was there, I don't know, maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes. It felt like hours. And then when I was getting ready to leave, they started on, how are you going to get home? What roads are you going to take? And I'm like, I don't know. I'll figure it out. I just wanted out. I wanted nothing more than to get the hell out of there. It felt like the walls were closing in, and it was so strange and so bizarre and so unsettling. I mean, it's not like I felt guilty. I've been out for years. I don't feel like I left to sin, because I don't think not being a JW is a sin. I think it's a pretty smart choice myself. But then I had my brother and my mom and my dad all trying to give me various routes to take home. Well, you could take such and such a highway, and then you could take this exit, or you could take that exit, or you could. And I mean, I was so overwhelmed and frustrated and upset. All I wanted to do was to get the hell out. But, you know, I managed to oh, okay, well, yeah, I'm sure, I don't need 3 ways to go. Okay, well, yeah, blah, blah, blah. I did manage to hold it together and get out of there. And I managed to hold it together until I got in my car. Then I just broke down and I sobbed the rest of the way home. It's not that I needed or wanted these people's approval. I mean, I'm fine with that. You can't get everybody's approval. And my personal experience has not led me to decide that they are particularly knowledgeable or moral or anything special to where I would give a damn what they think of me or not. It's just the baseline of being treated like a human being. Acknowledge your existence. Pretend not to be hostile. I mean, it's not that hard. And the thing that kind of gets me, when you hear JWs talk about disfellowshipping and stuff, first of all, they'll always call it loving, which just pisses me off. There is nothing loving about withholding not only affection, but interaction with people to try and force compliance. Control and love are not the same thing. And you think, because the Watchtower tells you, you think that, okay, if I don't talk to them, if I don't give them that little bit of interaction that might have been enough to hold them over, that'll make them want to come back. Really?
But they knew that if they had associated with me, even a little, just to check on me, that small dose of association might have satisfied me. It could have made me think that there was no need to return to Jehovah.
But yeah, I don't know what makes you think that makes us want to become JWs again. It makes us hate the organization, or at least it did me. It makes us see it as something cruel, because it is cruel. And then if somebody actually believes in the doctrine, because guess what? A lot of the people who leave don't leave because they want to sin and they don't care about anything but themselves. All these narratives and pejoratives and all of the nastiness that you hear. Some of us have an honest disagreements, okay? But if somebody does, if they do believe that, and they believe that they were personally repentant, or they believe that they've done wrong or whatever, what do you think abandoning them when they feel at their lowest does? I mean, how many times do you have to hit me over the head with a hammer before you think I've got the point you don't approve? I know you don't approve. It's freaking obvious, okay? But when your decision to be kind to me or not to be kind to me, or whether you can talk to me or not talk to me, or whether you care about me, or you love Jehovah more, which is offensive, okay? It's not like you have a finite amount of love that you can give out, and that I'm such a vile person that loving me would be the same as hating God. Really? But, okay, I'm getting off in the weeds. The point being, that's not love. It's control. And if you feel like you need permission from a club of old guys in New York to know whether or not you can talk to me, I don't think we really have a lot to say to one another. We live in different freaking worlds. And I don't think I really want to know you all that well. So, yeah, disfellowshipping is evil. I mean, it just is. And if you're facing this, first of all, I'm sorry. Secondly, you don't deserve it. I don't have to know you don't deserve it, because people who say that they love you, that's not loving, okay? It's not. It will mess with your head more than you're aware of, even if you don't really hold a high opinion or hold these people's opinions in high esteem. And let's face it, you're talking about people who are in a high control group, or many of us call it a cult. So maybe they don't have the best judgment. But regardless of that, it still hurts. I mean, heck, even if like complete strangers or virtual strangers were treating you like that, it would still hurt. But look after your own needs. Bring emotional support. Do your best not to take it to heart. And if you haven't got any therapy, really good idea. It could be very, very helpful. Anyway, one thing that I got out of this and out of my processing more recently, I will tell you to kind of wrap this up, is that I'm never again going to put myself in that position. I'm not willingly subjecting myself to abuse anymore. That's the take-home message. And you don't have to either. And you don't deserve it. And if you're on the other side of the table and you're associated with the JWs and you're struggling with this, or you feel guilty about it or whatever, but you watch the videos where it's like, we're not going to block Jehovah's love, you're not helping. What you're doing is creating damage in a relationship that almost certainly will not heal. Okay, there are certain lines that once you cross them in relationships, they're not ever the same. And once you've been shunned by somebody who says, I'm only doing this because I love you, it doesn't matter how you feel. It doesn't matter if it was fair. It doesn't matter if it was right or if they followed their own guidance or whatever. Those are the rules. Well, once you've heard that and once you've experienced it, your relationship is never going to be the same. Never. I mean, if you have any left over at all, it's just going to be a sorry show. So think about that, okay? Because you never know when you're going to get the next new light saying, we don't do that anymore. God didn't change, but they sure do. So that's all I got to say for today. Gee, I hope it wasn't too depressing, but maybe you got something useful out of it anyway. Take care. Peace out. Much love. And if you haven't, please hit the like, sub if you like what I do, and, go out there and tell your truth. Okay? Peace out.
That's Jehovah's enemies.